Ho ho ho, everybody. Happy Horror Friday. Yes, today it's Friday, December 9th. Today, The Mean One comes out in the theaters. But I have got so much to show you and talk to you about. Come right back after the intro. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Richard, with Nightmares Anyone. I'm going to take a sip of coffee really quick. It's so hot. Yeah, it's dark chocolate caramel apple. So, I've got two book openings. I've got two book reviews. I already mentioned The Mean One. Yeah, Mr. Grinch. Well, it's not called Mr. Grinch, it's called The Mean One. It opens today in theaters. And then I got some really cool little things I want to show you first. So I was at my local retailer the other day, and you guys know I'm a huge Funko Pop fan. Have you guys seen these? These Popsies? Yeah, here's Maleficent. Here's Pennywise. But watch these cool little things. This one says the stupidest thing. Wait, I think... No, this one says something really, really cool. So there's a little button on here. Always fierce. Now the other ones, like Ursula, and they said Queen of Mean, and then it said Happy Mother's Day. So it kind of spoiled it for me to buy those. But then this one's really, really cool. This one's really cool. Yeah, they're pretty big too. It says, "Do you want a balloon?" Yeah, they're pretty cool. They were only like $6.49. So hey, they had tons of them though, all different kinds. So there's those little things. I'm gonna be doing two reviews. I'm gonna do a really quick review of Robert Bloch's American Gothic. Yes, he's the author of Psycho. This book came out in... I gotta put my glasses on. Yep. This one came out, I think, in 1974. 1974. And then I'm gonna do another review on... This book is fucking phenomenal, excuse my French. This one came out in 1990 by R. Patrick Gates. This is the Onyx cover. I do have the original one with the green house in the woods. This is Grimm Memorials. This is the newest one that I could just grab right off the shelf. Yeah, this is the first of a two-part series. This is the first one, Grimm Memorials. Then the second one is Grimm Reapings. So, before I do those reviews, let's see what... Well, let's do the reviews really quick. So, American Gothic. What can I say about American Gothic? Okay, I did not know that this book, this cover is actually really, really cool. It's, what's that called? Sculpted, you know. So this shows a creepy, creepy castle. Now, this is a retelling, or Robert Bloch's retelling, of the H.H. Holmes horror crimes. Now, we all know who H.H. Holmes was. In the early 1900s, late 1800s, he was considered, probably now, America's worst serial killer in the world. We do not know exactly how many people, whether 40 or 240 people he killed, but he had built this huge, huge castle that looked like a castle kind of. You can pull up pictures of it all over the internet. But H.H. Holmes was posing as a doctor and a pharmacist, but he had built this hotel kind of sorts, and it was right across the street from the World Chicago Exposition. Yeah, the World's Fair. He had gas chambers, he had torture chambers, he had acid baths, he dismembered people, he skinned them alive, oh my God, the most horrible of crimes. Now this book is loosely based on that character. Now, Robert Bloch renames him in this book G. Gordon Gregg. Now it says The Castle. It looms darkly over the streets of modern Chicago. Its stone walls conceal a maze of secret passageways and hidden rooms, private laboratories and concealed trapdoors. The castle is home to G. Gordon Gregg, physician, murderer. His victims are young, beautiful, wealthy women. His methods are swift, scientific, and painless, his crimes perfect. Until a newspaper reporter becomes suspicious, investigating Dr. Craig. Crystal finds herself falling in love with the charismatic surgeon despite the danger. Is it that love that seals her doom? For what G. Gordon Gregg loves, he kills. Now, this book, I'll give you my final review on it. I was not that impressed with it. It's very well written. It starts out good, and you think, wow, with the author of this being Psycho, this is going to be one creepy ass read. It never really got there. Nothing really happens till the last, 80%. And then it's not even in detail or gory or scary. So, it had, how many pages did this little Hummer have? It had 246 pages, and I just can't recommend it. Yeah, was not impressed. Now, this other book, this one, this Hummer has 367 pages. Oh my God. Hey, little one. Zero just walked in. So this one says, once upon a time, there was a perfect little New England town called Northwood. The people there were the nicest you'd ever hope to meet, like Steve and Diane Naylor and their terrific kids. No, I can't pick you up now, Zero. I'm doing something. It never fails. He always comes in, or the phone rings. Like Steve and Diane Naylor and their terrific kids. And in a darling house on the edge of town, over the river and through the woods, an old lady lived. She was a witch, and she worked her wicked magic, first on all the men in town, and then on the women. Soon she would be ready to take on the children in the most haunting, frightening, and grimmest fairy tale since the very first time innocence was forced to struggle with evil and terror. Grimm Memorials. Okay, where am I going to go with this? So, first off, now the cat's coming in. Hi, Mimu. So, first off, I'm going to show you guys my review that I wrote on Goodreads. Now, if you guys don't follow me on Goodreads, I would love it if you would. I'll put my link right there to my page. And speaking of following me, if you haven't done so already and you love horror as much as I do, or just love anything good and scary, hit that subscribe button right down there. Like and share, but give me a thumbs up for the channel. It helps my algorithms. I sound like a Sheldon Cooper or a scientist or something. So I said in capital letters, warning: do not open this book if you are easily disturbed and are disgusted by scenes of severe graphic violence against children set in a fairy tale type story. Now, here goes. I remember the summer of 1990 when this book first came out. I immediately picked up a copy of Borders Books and could not wait to get home from work to start it. I had read it entirely over that weekend and never ever forgot the tale of Eleanor Grimm and her twin brother Edmund. You won't either. Believe me, now it is 2022 and this is the third time reading this, but it is my first time actually with it being an audiobook version. Oh dear. With this book being the first book in a double book series and being over 440 pages long, you better have a strong stomach to make it through it. I'm not joking either, you guys. Or otherwise, don't start it. R. Patrick Gates has written other books, but nothing has come close to all the Grimm books. There's only 2, but you know, hey. And that is a good thing, making this extreme modern-day retelling of Hansel and Gretel the great book it is. Now, please do not think that I am as sick as the witch, Eleanor. That is not who I am. I just love to be shocked and terrified by the horror that I read while reading it. Married couple Steve and Diane Naylor are moving from Boston to the small town of Northwood, a quiet and very secretive town that nestles in the shadows of a huge Mount Sugarloaf. Now, doesn't that sound like something from The Grinch? Yes, how quaint so far. Sounds like the beginning of a game of Candyland, but this is not a game you're going to win at. They have 2 children, 6-year-old Jackie and his older sister Jennifer, roughly 8 or 9. I think she's like 8. Their mother has remarried their stepfather Steve, and he has been hired at a prep-type school in this Massachusetts town with a taste for the macabre, and that is because of its past and the old Victorian mansion in the woods behind their house, the one that is called Grimm Memorials. And this was the site of the local morgue/crematorium and home to Eleanor and her brother. Neither of the Grimm children ever had a chance, with her being raped from the time of being 12 by her father nightly in her bedroom while her brother listened and sometimes watched. She always wondered why her and not the dead and naked bodies that her father had at his disposal at any day and time. Yes, now, I told you this was graphic. This review is going to be graphic too, so don't listen on any further, just scoop to where I open the books. Between had at his disposal at any day and time. Yes, this book has necrophilia in it, and a lot, let me tell you, described very graphically too. Between the 2 twins, they enable what they learn to call the machine. And this machine lives in their head and imagination, but it is sometimes and something only they can control. And how fast this machine runs depends on how many people they can torture and kill to get the electricity to run its motor. Now you're going to think, what the hell is this, a bad LSD trip? No, this is just really happening in Grimm Memorials. Both the twins can manipulate... Butters, what are you doing? Butters! Both of the twins can manipulate... I knew these 2 were going to do this. Both of the twins can manipulate anyone who sees them to see them as something different, whether it be a grown Hollywood starlet or a well-muscled and handsome man looking for the right woman to swoon. But once you meet the Grimms, you will never live to tell anyone about them or where they live. That is, unless you are Jackie and Jennifer Naylor. This book is, if not the most disturbing, graphic, sick, and most vile book of cannibalism, sexual deviantness, torture, and murder of children being lured to a sugar and gumdrop-looking house in the woods that you will ever read. But be warned, once you start it, the horror does not ever let up. Remember, there is a second book, Grimm Reapings, and there was going to be a third, Grimm Beginnings, but it never came out in 2017 as planned. I give this disgusting, sick, extremely gory and gruesome tale of horror 10 blood-covered pieces of candy atop a blood-covered house. And it is well deserved, I warn you. It is not for the squeamish or light of heart and stomach. 10 blood-soaked and flavored gumdrops. Yeah, you guys, this book is really disturbing. It's sick. The cat is rolling around here. He is flipping upside down, and this one's Zero's dragging his tummy across the floor. So, yes, Grimm Memorials is a very disturbing and sick book. But I love it. I love the book. Yes, it is disturbing to admit. It's very sick to admit, but it's a fun book. And if you read horror to be scared, and if you read horror as, a mockery of, fairy tales that we grew up with, this book's perfect for you. So, let's get into quickly the 2 books that I have to open right here. Now, this one I already opened. This came in the mail the other day, and it took forever to get. But this is Robbie Dorman's The Other. Now, I'm really surprised that he was able to publish this book under Thomas Tryon, but I guess books have the same title all the time, huh? So, this actually came out in 2022, October of 2022, and yeah, it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But it's got 231 pages, and it says, "Can love triumph over evil from hell itself? Donald Leal is slowly losing himself, and Beverly, his wife, is trying to hold on. Diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Don's mind is falling apart." It's really, really hard to read because the back is so small. "Married for almost 40 years, Bev will happily shoulder the burden of caring for Don." I don't know what this cat's doing. "But it's more than just foggy thoughts and forgotten memories. Someone or something dark lurks behind Don's eyes and drives him to despicable action. It calls itself the other. When it's in control, Don changes into something unrecognizable. A stranger in their house who laughs at trauma and relishes in death." God, I can't even read. You'd think, you'd think my reading glasses wouldn't help, but Bev soon realizes her husband isn't just facing dementia. Her husband is possessed. The other delights in pain and misery and feeds off the love between Bev and Don. It surfaces more and more, hurting Bev whenever it can, and she desperately searches for a way to cure her husband. As it pushes Bev closer and closer to the breaking point, she must answer a terrible question. How much will she sacrifice to send the other back to hell? I thought it sounded good. It was kind of expensive, but yeah. So let's open this. I know what this is. I just don't know what the cover is going to be like, or the quality, or the edition. This is a book that is one I read. Oh my God, I think I read it when it came out in the 70s, and with it not being a book of graphic horror back then, it was kind of a slow burn. As a teenager, I don't think I ever finished it, but as I became an adult, it became a book that kind of now has got a cult following as being a horror classic. So let's open this. I don't want to rip it. This is the very first paperback edition. I hate it when they write their name on the inside covers. It's from 1978, first edition, from Simon & Schuster. No, this is the first Ballantine Books edition. And this is of Anne River Siddon's The House Next Door. Now, a lot of people have read this book and really, really like it. I don't think I ever finished it because, like I said, being a teenager in high school, it just didn't start out like a slam bam horror, and it was more of a slow burn. And I think I just didn't read it. But here's what it says. It was an architectural masterpiece, every young couple's dream house. Suddenly, within it and everywhere around it, families began to suffer, to go mad, to die. And then, with mounting terror, the family next door was stuck with the paralyzing fear that they were next, that the pure horror of the house could not let them live, that their salvation lay in fire and murder, and that to survive, they must enter and destroy the house next door. Positively pulsates with evil, says Buffalo News. A real chiller, says Publishers Weekly. Yeah, it says on the front cover, it is for sale. Pray that no one ever buys it ever again. A novel of spine-tingling terror and horror, a story of a family that loved, then cried, then screamed in horror as they watched what happened in a house next door. A house that knew every evil and knew no end. There's Wendy's name in it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading both of those. But once again, that's my reviews on Grimm Memorials and Robert Bloch's American Gothic. Yeah, you guys look, if you guys want to start collecting these. I know I'm not going to start collecting these because this is something I do not need to start buying. But yeah, they're actually pretty cool. Butter's jumped. So you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Christmas is less than 3 weeks away. Zero's pulling his tummy across the carpet. Cash just looking at me like, what are you doing, Dad? But yes, 2 movies start today that I really, really am looking forward to seeing. Spoiler alert, the hero dies. It's a memoir. and then the mean one. Yeah, it looks really, really cheesy, but how can you go wrong with the guy that played Art the Clown playing the Grinch in a horror parody of a classic Christmas tale? You guys have a great weekend. Stay scared. As always, pick up a good scary book. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, you guys. Stay scared. Be nice to others. Take care, you guys. I'm Richard with Nightmares Anyone. I'll see you.